Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of White Coat Wednesdays. Today's guest is Mounika of the Pediatrics Interest Group. Mounika, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Mounika. I'm here today to talk about the Pediatric Interest Group, or we like to call it PIG. I am a fourth-year medical student currently at the UQ Ochsner Medical School, and I am originally from Northern California, the Bay Area, and I went to UC Berkeley for my undergrad, and then went to medical school here.
Mounika, tell us a little bit more about the Pediatrics Interest Group.
So the Pediatrics Interest Group, much like any other interest group here on campus, attracts people that are interested in applying to the pediatric residencies or have any interest in pediatrics. There are other residencies such like family med that also generally care about kids, I guess. And we tend to do a lot of activities that range from figuring out what the career is like and what different options there are in the future, but also fundraisers, social events, and kind of unique initiatives as well if we can come up with them.
What's awesome about pediatrics here at Ochsner?
Okay, a lot of awesome things, but the number one most awesome part I think about pediatrics at Ochsner is definitely the faculty. We have the most, I guess, dedicated faculty here. Dr. Laura, Dr. Cantro, and Dr. Warrior are well known by all the students, regardless of whether you're interested in pediatrics or not, and they are just always looking for students to get involved with research or be a part of their journal clubs, and Dr. Laura is going to have individual meetings with everyone interested in peds, so they're very involved in every single one of our initiatives. So I guess that would be the most awesome thing.
How is the Pediatrics Interest Group involved with the community?
So we've done a few things. So generally, I think, as you know, COVID happened last year, is still currently happening. So it's changed a lot of the traditionally pediatric interest group activities. I hear from the past, and I've never really been a part of it. We hold a Boo Fest in Halloween for all the kids, and we bring in little stalls and things like that for the patients that are peds patients here. But this past year, what we've been kind of transitioning to is activities where we don't, necessarily have activities that gather a lot of people. So I think one of the things that we did most recently is work on a fundraiser for Camp Challenge. So before COVID, it used to be a summer camp for kids all over Louisiana with any kind of hematologic or oncologic problems, and they'd come in and have a summer that was fully paid for. This camp that they just have a lot of activities and get to meet other members of their community. And one of the faculty here, Dr. Warrior, is really involved with that nonprofit. Unfortunately, we couldn't go, but we held a fundraiser actually for one of the faculty, so Dr. Warrior's birthday, and we raised money so we could make little camp in a box for them and send that out. So that's been our one of the things that we've done this past year, and we're really excited to work with that nonprofit. They've been awesome. So I think that was our first intro to the community. We also try to work with initiatives that are already happening here at Ochsner within the PEDS department.
Do you have to want to pursue a pediatric residency to be a part of the Pediatrics Interest Group?
Most definitely not. Like I said before, I think I always like to look at medical school and kind of see what kind of experiences I might not have in residency. So if you're interested, if I know that I'm not going to go into OBGYN, I'd like to get more experience in OBGYN, for example, because I think that's always a good thing to have. So we have people from all walks of life come to Pediatric Interest Group, and we run Otoscope Training at the beginning of every rotation, where we help Dr. Laura teach people how to look in people's ears, which I think, it takes a lot of practice, but, eventually you might see something in there or a pathology, but it does take a lot of practice. So we try to help out with things like that. And we also do an ophthalmoscope training as well, which is often used in the nursery to kind of look in babies' eyes. So those are some of the things that we do, and that's just that everyone goes through. And a lot of our fundraisers kind of appeal to everyone. We recently partnered with anesthesia to do our Camp Challenge fundraiser. So definitely don't need to be just interested in peds.
On that note, what resources did the Pediatrics Interest Group have for students?
So we have a few resources. I think we talked about the workshops that we do for otoscopes and ophthalmoscopes. We also try and gather a lot of the information that we felt was pertinent to us during our rotation. So we have a little guide that we send out at the beginning of the year, and I try to do weekly newsletters as well. So we have a weekly newsletter that kind of goes through all of our different activities that we have going on, and I'll highlight some of the resources that I used to study or other members in the Pediatric Interest Group found useful during their studying process. So that's kind of part of the resources. We also do a journal club as well, and I think that's pretty useful just to learn how to work through understanding a paper and discussing it with faculty. And we'll always have at least one member or two members of faculty on every journal club session as well.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the UQ Pediatrics Interest Group back in Australia for students who are first and second years and want to get involved?
Yeah, so the UQ Pediatrics Club actually started when we were first year, so when I was in first year 3 years ago. So it's kind of new, but it's awesome. So I had a chance to be a part of it, and they work really closely with the Children's Hospital that's in Brisbane. So they have one of the biggest children's hospital in that entire state, really the state of Queensland, which is really large. So I think one of the coolest things I remember seeing in there is that they'll pick a day to have like an Angelman's Day or a Prader-Willi Day for a genetic condition, and then kids from all over the state will fly in and see people in a rotation. So you'll see an endocrinologist and a therapist and everything. So that's really cool to be so close or in the same city as a center that does a lot of really interesting pediatric work. So they work, the UQ Peds Club Interest Group, I guess, they spelled Peds a little differently, but it's pronounced the same. So they all kind of work with the Children's Hospital to put on journal clubs, learn research, get experiences within the Children's Hospital as well.
Can you tell us something you love about New Orleans?
Love about New Orleans. I was recently walking around the French Quarter, and I think I did not realize how many costume shops there were, and also just like stores with paintings that are really, really interesting. So I guess the jazz music, I was hoping to go to Jazz Fest, but didn't get a chance to because of COVID. But that's still on the horizon. So music and also the random costumes.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much, Mounika.
Cool.